My name is Kevin Madigan, and I'm Deputy Director of the Center for the Protection of Intellectual Property, and I just wanted to welcome everybody to our 6th annual Fall Conference. We're very happy you all could join us. We have 2 days of some great panels and speakers lined up, and so everyone enjoy. We're going to have a few words said before our first panel by our founder and executive director, Adam Mossoff. But before I bring him on, I'd like to welcome Dean Henry Butler to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the sixth annual CPIP conference. Congratulations to CPIP for all the hard work that goes to this conference. I got to tell you, last week was an awesome week at our law school. We had a big fundraising dinner to fund our first merit-based scholarship. We raised $1.4 million in one night. Mike Ludig, the general counsel of Boeing, was the dedicated pit bull of a fundraiser for that, and it was honoring Maureen Scalia. And then the next day, here at the law school, we had 5 Supreme Court justices show up to help us dedicate the Maureen Scalia reading room on the 2nd floor of the library, to unveil the 8.5-foot tall statue of Nino Scalia that's over in the lobby of the law school. And then we also created an art gallery with the art of the sculptor, artwork of the sculptor who provided the statue, named Greg Wyatt. If any of you have been to Columbia Law School and seen the Scholar's Lion, he's the guy who did that. So it was a huge high for us. But it didn't have any of the substance that CPIP is bringing to the issues today. It was all fluff, pomp and circumstance, lots of fun stuff that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I am so glad it's over with. And so now I'm at a conference that someone else has organized, and CPIP has done a great job over the last few, since their launch. And the fact that so many of you are here and many more will be showing up as the afternoon goes on is a testament to that. We're very proud of our centers here at Scalia Law. We have the Law and Economics Center, the Global Antitrust Institute, the National Security Institute. These programs are set up to be intellectual centers for not only for our law school, but also for providing a catalyst for research for scholars from all over the country. So CPIP, LEC, GAI, NSI all do programs where we're actually funding research of professors at other schools. Not many other schools are that generous, but this is our mission, is to kind of be an intellectual firepower. And the evidence we had of that is we're ranked number 19th in the country in terms of scholarly impact based on the citations of our professors. So we're really proud of our intellectual prowess, and that's perfect that they're a center for the protection of intellectual property. So Adam, come on up here and tell them what's going to happen. Thank you very much. I look forward to interacting with you over the next couple of days.
Well, thank you very much for coming to the Center for Protection of Intellectual Property's 6th annual conference. I'm one of the founders of what we refer to as CPIP by its acronym, since its name is a bit of a mouthful. And we founded CPIP 6 years ago, actually 6 years ago this month, to counter what we had been slowly recognizing as a increasingly one-sided conversation that had been occurring among academics, as well as a one-sided policy discussion and ultimately a legal discussion in the courts and in regulatory agencies and among legal institutions more generally, that focused primarily on the costs and potential or alleged harms of intellectual property. And no one was really talking about the benefits of intellectual property, how intellectual property facilitates and promotes not just creators and innovators to come up with the amazing new creative works and new technologies that make our lives a veritable miracle today, even compared to 20 years ago, but helps facilitate the translation of those creative works and inventions that are created in labs and in garages and in studios into the marketplace, into the hands of consumers, making everyone's lives better off by promoting and driving an innovation economy that contributes to a flourishing society overall. And so we founded CPIP to promote and to support scholars who are interested in asking these types of questions, and to sponsor and to drive conferences, scholarship, and fellowship programs that promote data-driven, rigorous work that investigates and looks at the key role that intellectual property serves as a platform for innovators and creators to create, as well as a platform for the commercialization of their new works into society more generally and around the globe. And this conference, of course, continues this theme of CPIP's founding mission: intellectual property for the next generation of technology. Why that theme? Well, because all too often, when you have the next new great leap forward in technology, what you often hear from pundits and intellectuals and academics and scholars is, this changes everything. We no longer need the legal institutions, the legal rights, the doctrines, or the commercial mechanisms that had existed before. Everything is new. By the way, this is historically true, right? You heard this in the 19th century for anyone who does history or looks at historical developments such as I do, right? This was a very common theme that one heard in the 19th century in the Industrial Revolution with the advent of the patented technology in the electromagnetic telegraph by Samuel Morse, and the sewing machine by Isaac Singer and Elias Howe and others, and of course Thomas Edison's light bulb, and the telephone by Alexander Graham Bell. In fact, yesterday, for those of you who follow these types of things, is the anniversary of the patent issuing to Henry Ford in 1911 for his invention of a two-speed transmission that was key to the engine that he used in his Model T. And of course, that the development of engines and those types of technologies, and the Wright brothers airplane in the early 20th century, and radio, and the laser, and the transistor, all came with the same cries that this changes everything. We no longer need things like old intellectual property laws to facilitate the ongoing innovation. This changes the dynamics, economic, social, political, moral, and thus we don't need it. We heard this even more recently in the development and advent of the internet itself in the 1990s. For those of you who are old enough to remember John Perry Barlow's very famous Declaration of Independence on the basis of the internet, that we are no longer tied to the material world and intellectual property no longer has a role to play in creativity or innovation. Certainly, he has been proven right over the past 20 or 30 years. And so the point of this conference is to focus again on this recurring theme, but not from the perspective of we don't need intellectual property anymore, but to actually investigate, talk about, and explore the ways in which intellectual property continues to serve as that vital platform for creators and innovators to develop, navigate, and ultimately shift along that new transformative period, because we are in the midst or on the cusp of another great technological leap forward, brought to us by the incredible innovation of the wireless telecommunications revolution, brought to us ultimately by the innovation created by Dr. Irwin Jacobs, our keynote speaker tomorrow at lunch, who is the inventor of CDMA technology, which is the digital transmission technology that made smartphones possible. And of course, as that technology has developed and evolved and has led to follow-on innovation and creative developments and new business models, we now are facing incredible new innovation in 5G, Internet of Things, new uses and development and collection of big data, 3D printing, and so on and so on. And the point of this conference, therefore, is to talk about and explore the ways in which, as I said, intellectual property serves as a platform, not in the kind of the singular way of how is it promoting new innovators and creators, because of course it does serve that function, but even more importantly, how is it continuing to serve that vital commercial function, serving as that bridge from the creation of the new 5G technology or the new way of developing 3D printing in the lab, that vital bridge from that creation initially into actual real-world innovation that is used by consumers and benefits everyone in a flourishing society and growing innovation economy. And so over the next day and a half, this afternoon and tomorrow, I hope you'll enjoy very much the presentations by our scholars and the growing community of scholars who are part of our CPIP family, as well as the representatives from the innovation industries and the creative industries who are always a key part of all of our events, ensuring that our discussions, our research, and our ultimately our written work product is data-based, is data-driven, and is rigorous. So I particularly would like to thank, of course, Christina Pietro, who is our tireless director of events and operations, who runs all of this and makes these types of events possible. But of course, the other directors in CPIP as well, Sandra A. Stars, Sean O'Connor, our new assistant director, Chris Katopis, and our deputy director, Kevin Madigan, who you heard from, and of course, the rest of our staff, our director of communications, Devlin Hartline, and the many students, RAs, and others who assist us in making these programs possible. Of course, we will be tweeting and posting comments, and so please follow our Twitter hashtag at CPIP 2018 as we promote the types of conversations and ensure that these types of conversations don't just occur inside the halls of a law school and within the walls of academia, but are actually pushed out into the broader public discussions and ultimately the broader policy debates. So thank you again for coming to our 6th annual conference. These have been great events. They grow each year, and I'm delighted to see many friends and associates in the audience and many new friends and new associates as well. So without much further ado, I'd like to call up our very first panel. Thank you.